The Fox News studio shimmered under intense lighting, every corner polished and deliberate. Jeanine Pirro, clad in crimson, leaned forward with the fire of courtroom fury in her eyes, her lips curled as she delivered the line that would ignite controversy. Jasmine Crockett is a disgrace to the legal profession. A loud, unrefined, and clearly out of her depth. Her voice sliced through the air, laced with venom and certainty. The studio went quiet for a beat, letting the insult sink in. Behind her, the producers exchanged glances. They knew she had gone too far, but Pirro thrived on provocation. The segment cut to commercial, but the storm had already begun. On Twitter, hashtags like #Crockett vs Pirro and #JudgeUnhinged exploded. Screens lit up across the country, replaying the clip. Viewers were stunned. Some clapped, others winced. One thing was clear: Jasmine Crockett wouldn't stay silent for long. Jasmine Crockett sat tall under the bright lights of a nationally broadcast town hall event, her posture calm but unshakably strong. Dressed in a deep navy power suit, she exuded both grace and fire. A hush settled over the crowd as a moderator, cautiously flipping through his notes, paused and said, "Congresswoman Crockett, Jeanine Pirro recently called you a walking disgrace to the legal profession. Your response?" A beat of silence. Jasmine slowly lifted the mic, eyes locked forward. Not angry, not shaken, but completely composed. Her voice rang with surgical precision. Coming from a woman who spent more time yelling on television than studying case law, "I'll take that as a compliment." The room erupted. Gasps, cheers, even a few stunned laughs from the press pool. But she wasn't finished. "I didn't turn my JD yelling into a camera. I turned it fighting for people who never had a voice in that room. If that bothers Jeanine Pirro, good, because it means I'm doing something right." The camera zoomed in, capturing the confidence in her eyes and the sharp edge in her tone. It was a moment, one that would be replayed, memed, and analyzed for days. Social media immediately exploded. On Instagram Live, thousands began quoting her. On TikTok, creators remixed her response with cinematic soundtracks. Jasmine Crockett had not only clapped back, she had shut the whole room down with a masterclass in restraint and precision. And Jeanine, for the first time in a long time, she was left without a comeback. That night, the air in the Fox News studio was different. Jeanine Pirro reappeared on screen, but gone was the fiery self-assurance from the day before. Her voice wavered slightly, masked by her usual bravado. She stared into the camera with narrowed eyes. "I will not be lectured by a freshman congresswoman," she began, but her sentence was clipped. Her delivery rushed. Viewers watching from home could sense it. She wasn't in control anymore. Meanwhile, on social media, the real show was happening. A now viral split-screen clip flooded every platform. On one side, Pirro animatedly flubbing a Supreme Court case reference during a past rant. On the other, Jasmine Crockett calmly, confidently breaking down complex legal precedent during a Judiciary Committee hearing. The difference was staggering. The comments section turned ruthless. One plays judge on TV, the other is the real deal. Pirro lost the case without a trial. Crockett's IQ just left the building, and took Pirro's mic with it. By the time Pirro tried to regain her footing and shift the narrative, it was too late. News anchors, late-night hosts, even legal analysts had picked up the story. Networks replayed Crockett's response next to Pirro's fumbled counter like it was a highlight reel. In trying to smear her, Jeanine Pirro had unintentionally launched Jasmine Crockett into a new political spotlight, not as a firebrand, but as a composed, unshakable legal mind who refused to be intimidated. Pirro's attack had collapsed under the weight of its own arrogance, and now she was struggling to escape the silence that followed. The morning sun filtered through the marble columns of Capitol Hill as Jasmine Crockett strode toward the entrance, heels clicking with quiet authority. Her tailored gray coat fluttered in the breeze, her phone in one hand, and a sea of reporters waiting at the top of the steps. Cameras flashed, boom mics crowded in. She paused, a calm, steady, unbothered, the very picture of elegance under pressure. "Congresswoman Crockett, Jeanine Pirro has yet to respond to your remarks," one reporter called out. "Any further comment?" Jasmine turned, offering a measured smile, the kind that said she was in full control. If people like Jeanine Pirro spent half as much time understanding the law as they do performing rage for ratings, This country might actually get somewhere, she said coolly. But I guess it's easier to shout into a camera than to serve with facts and integrity. The crowd murmured, impressed. A few clapped. Her staff exchanged subtle glances as they knew this wasn't just a soundbite, it was a knockout. She nodded once, stepped past the reporters, and disappeared behind the grand doors of the Capitol. The weight of Pirro's insults now completely irrelevant. That clip, too, would go viral within minutes. But this time, it wasn't just Crockett's words that spoke volumes, it was her poise, her silence where others screamed, her facts where others fumbled. And Jeanine Pirro, for all her fire and fury, she hadn't said a word since. Jasmine Crockett didn't just win the moment, she changed the tone of the fight.